welcome to another episode of Moving to Maryland. Today we're going to talk about Brewers Hill. I got Megan and Nick. Hey guys.
How's it going?
So I'm in Brewers Hill at least once or twice a week, and we go to Gunther Co. Mm-hmm. It's one of our favorite restaurants. Jerry and Nancy, shout out to you guys. It's phenomenal. It's really a fine dining type food in a really eclectic, used to be a brewery atmosphere. Really cool space. They're really fantastic with our 2-year-old. And I wanted to put that out there. So,
not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but look,
maybe.
I'm in that neighborhood often for that particular reason. And they're so good, and they're at that high level. It's like a hybrid, right? Like really, really good food, really, really good, and their staff is so good.
Yeah.
They're,
I mean, that's why I had our rehearsal dinner there, and for many reasons, like you're saying, but like it has that high kind of like city feel, but awesome, just elevated as well if you want to kind of reach that.
Yeah, their menu's always changing. Jerry's, and they're just great. They're good people, good place. So let's talk about Brewers Hill, actually.
back to the task at hand.
I just wanted to, that's sometimes people and businesses make that kind of impact on you. So,
Right.
Sweet.
So.
Well, moving on.
So, one of the things I think about Brewers Hill, and we're in a cluster neighborhood. Sometimes it sounds like we're talking about the same neighborhood because it's walkable, it's this, it's that. Right. And we could have been talking about like 10 different places.
Yeah.
I like in the Southeast, Brewers Hill has that really easy access to get out of the city. So if you want, like, if you want real easy access to the highways in and out of the city, like it obviously is located on the eastern edge of the southeast part of Baltimore, right?
Right.
Yeah, just to the east of Canton.
Exactly.
So it's, you have Conkling Street, which basically is the cutoff point between Canton and Brewers. But you're exactly right. 895, 95 going north and south through the tunnels. Super duper easy to get to. You go up Haven Street if you need to go into downtown instead of taking Boston Street. It's a great little artery neighborhood to get where you need to go, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that's happened, we talk about this in a lot of neighborhoods too. Like Canton was like that super popular neighborhood. Brewers Hill was not as well known, a little quieter, a little more affordable. Mm-hmm. They got their CHAP tax credit approved years later. That spurred a lot of development, renovations and new construction. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about real estate a little bit later. I don't want to get into that too now. But the retail and the shopping and the stores in Canton Crossing and Brewers Hill, like it's become, in this area, it's become a destination for going to Target, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been blooming. So, I mean, I moved here about 3 years ago. And I mean, even from 3 years ago, stores and restaurants have just been popping up there. Huge apartments. I know we're going to get into real estate later, but, just it's continuing to develop and continuing to grow, which is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, watching it, I lived in Canton for 6 years before I moved across, but watching all of the development happen, from Target to Nordstrom Rack, Sprouts, grocery stores, everything, that you would need pop up and flourish in this neighborhood, actually I think makes Brewers Hill a little bit more desirable because it actually, from certain places in Canton, it's a shorter walk if you really want to walk. I mean, if you're going to be going to 3-4 stores, I don't think you can carry like 20 bags from Target to your house, but I've seen people try.
You could.
A couple of years ago, I mean, actually this might like 10 years ago, or no, I don't know, 8 years ago maybe. It was Christmas and somebody came to my house and they're like, God, you're a Scrooge. You don't have Christmas decorations. And I Googled Christmas decorations and found Michael's. It's like a craft store. I've never been in a craft store in my life. Really? I went in there. I bought a whole mini city. I have the best Christmas decorations from that point on because I was.
Michael's has good stuff.
They do. I love
Michael's has good stuff. My mom always used to take me as a kid.
We do all our framing there, for framing artwork. I love a craft. I've never been in a craft store.
Do you have a craft that you like to do? Like, you a painter? Are you a knitter, quilting?
I'm getting into knitting socks.
Really?
Yeah. I'm working on a pair. I'll
like
share with you in a couple weeks. So, it's certainly a walkable community, right? It doesn't have a Canton Square,
Right.
In the proper neighborhood, you would say from like, just above Eastern Avenue, I think the technical boundary down into, the Brewers Hill area, O'Donnell Street area. A lot of historic row homes, but some new development there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the times it's really interesting because, again, I feel like we say this with every neighborhood, but you have that mix between historic and new homes. But also, I mean, for me, if somebody's looking to rent, especially in Baltimore, I direct them straight to Brewers Hill because there are so many apartment complexes there. And that's where you can kind of get to know the neighborhood in Baltimore City too.
Yeah, there's tons of them. Like Brewers Hill was, as you would think, it was a brewery. National Bohemian was there. So a lot of it was all industrial. And when National Bohemian left, there became tons of development opportunity, which has led to all this shopping and all these brand new, awesome apartments with all these great amenities. So it's a great place for people who just want to kind of get their feet wet in the city and, be able to have a gym, a pool, all those kinds of things and not really have to leave. But a lot of people do set down roots here in Brewers Hill, especially because of the housing options.
Right. And it's funny because we keep on like talking about real estate. I meant to really get into like the walkability of how you can walk to your favorite restaurant, how you can walk down to the shops and all that kind of stuff. And certainly years ago, I was on top of the Natty Bow Tower, and it was during I think it was the Blue Angels were flying around, and I was with a couple of friends, and Wells Obrecht, who is the developer of that whole, the whole Brewers Hill. We were looking down, and they were building. They were on the framing stage of 2 apartment buildings. I think one's called the Porter now.
Yep.
They've been called different things. They had originally did the Domain, which was at the Tolkoff horseradish factory. They'd been there for years and years. If you'd been in Canton, because they're right at the, they're on Conklin Street, so they're right at, So whatever the case, we're looking over, and I was looking at these 2 buildings. I was like, hey, did you guys study this? Is there a need? And they're like, well, the first building rented out so fast that's the study.
Right.
And so they built those 2 buildings, and then there's more buildings, and so it's a phenomenal. I've met so many people that come into town working at whether it's Bayview, Hopkins, or Hopkins, just north of us here in Fells Point, or wherever where they can rent for 6 months, get a feel for the neighborhood, and then decide whether they want to buy in Brewers Hill or anywhere else that they. But it has become like a haven for apartments, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of, like you said, those development opportunities of old industrial spaces,
Right.
transform them into something new to bring new life into these neighborhoods.
And nightlife in Brewers Hill is going to be spread out a little bit, right? It's going to remind me of like little friends bars where like everybody in like a little 4 or 5 block radius probably hang out at a place in particular, but you're literally a 2 to 5 minute Uber drive to Canton Square.
Yeah, my friend lives in Brewers. I helped him purchase his house last year. So we love to go to Huck's. It's right around the corner from his house. It's a great place. But like you said, I mean, we walked Sunday for the Ravens game, and we walked to the square, and that was only, I'd say, like a 12-minute walk. So you're still really close if you do want to have more options. But within the neighborhood, you do have, like I said, Huck's and a lot of great little places, kind of scattered throughout. So there's great options.
You cannot walk 2 blocks in Brewers Hill without hitting a pretty decent bar/restaurant.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep on going, if you go up in Highlandtown, it's going to happen. If you, you take a longer walk into Greektown and hit a whole bunch of restaurants over there. So let's talk about real estate now. So there's a lot of new construction development over there along Haven Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the best part, like with that new construction, is you're with other new construction, like shops, grocery stores. Like to me, Sprouts was the best thing that ever happened. I love Sprouts. But, with all that new construction, you're still so close to like major grocery stores. There's BJ's, which is just across the railroad tracks. You also are close to, I think there's like a urgent care over there. It's a prime development spot to lay roots, rent there, but also be close to everything.
Yeah, a lot's happening. It's Well, there's different sectors. Brewers Hill used to be all renovations, and then some new construction popped up and really much higher price points than they'd ever hit in that neighborhood. They were like in the $350 range, and all of a sudden they were selling like $700,000 row houses. And then, then some more developers came in with some more affordable, 400 to 500. But the difference, the affordability that used to be there compared to Canton, in a very similar way that we would compare Locust Point to Federal Hill. Mm-hmm. Both of those areas, the difference is no longer that big a difference.
Right.
For many reasons, the new construction, getting CHAP tax credits approved in those neighborhoods, which really drives demand to get keep your taxes lower, which allows people to afford more.
Right.
Yep.
So we are all real estate agents with the Greatest Moves team. We are in and out of Brewers Hill weekly, if not daily. We would love to show you around Brewers Hill, whether you're looking for an apartment to come into town, check it out, check out the neighborhood, feel what the city's all about. We can show you any of the neighborhoods around Brewers Hill, any of the areas around the Baltimore Beltway. Look forward to helping you. Our contact info is in this post. Take care, and we'll see you next episode.